Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ape Escape 2. In the last where we did our second round against Yellow Monkey after going through a very long level, and now it's time for us to go defeat Spectre.
For real this time.
Ish. I won't lie, it took until that cutscene for me to realize the towers in the background are meant to be bananas. God damn it. So, this is the final level in the main campaign, and because of that, it actually is going to be sharing something with both its predecessor in Ape Escape 1 and its successor in Ape Escape 3 when we eventually get to that, in that this level is so long, it is actively divided into two videos. We get through most of the level today, but the main campaign final boss is going to be saved for next time.
Yeah.
With that said, go ahead, you first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these levels are so long that they don't even have a monkey counter right now.
Yeah, and that actually goes into what I was about to say. Like the previous level, you technically don't need to catch any monkeys that aren't directly in your path and needed to, like, unlock doors in order to go reach the end boss, but because this is a 100% playthrough, I'm going to be going on my way to catch them all. Thankfully, this level is relatively straightforward in that most of the towers themselves are 1 to 2 off rooms that just have monkeys in them. You don't really need to enter most of them. With that said, make sure you know your platforming by now, because you're going to need to use basically everything the game's thrown at you in here at least once.
Yep.
I always loved the spinning animal. Oh, God!
And Jimmy was never seen again.
You had to spawn me on this side game, god damn it. Looking at the spinning animation, it's really visually apparent just how more advanced they got even on early PS2 than late PS1. Because, like, animation-wise, Spike spinning with the saber in the first game was pretty stiff. But Jimmy spinning here in 2 is just so absurdly fluid with his motions.
Yeah, and it's like, I think even with Kei and Yumi in the third game, like, it's still the same it's still very fluid, and it's like, I think even, like, because of the two different characters, they even have, like, different poses when they do it.
I think so, because that would play into their own unique abilities they have, or at least animations they have, with that game's mechanical gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you should get used to, though, in this area is active combat. They throw a lot of mini-boss type monkeys at you in here, be it these in the UFOs or otherwise. Not that you're not doing a lot of combat in the other levels to begin with, but not as much for catching monkeys as it is more so than just taking things out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, and like you said, I don't even think they're required to, like, unlock the doors or anything. You can just kind of run past them.
There's 1 or 2 I think that are, but I think I might also be thinking of the eventual revisit we have to do here, because similarly to other levels, there are monkeys you're not going to be able to get here on the first visit, and one of those makes sense for reasons we'll get into.
Is that a Terminator monkey?
At least in terms of... little bit. Oh, now he's naked! Oh, God!
He has no pants!
Ape.9. Actually, that could be a Terminator reference now that I think about it. What was I saying? But there are some monkeys that just don't spawn here until the second visit. Outright. Like, the one we can't capture no matter what, you can see where they are on this first visit, but there are some that just aren't here yet.
I guess that plays into, like, their idea of, like, the longevity of the game.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, isn't too hard if you know where they are.
Yeah, like, I think when it comes to being forced to replay stages, even with my criticisms of how this and 1 both handle it, where there's some levels where there's just 1 monkey left and they force you to revisit the stage because of that,
yeah,
I still think Ape Escape does level revisits better than some other games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I immediately think, like, I don't like Banjo-Tooie with how it handles that, where you have to do that for basically every world at least once, and usually over very long terms. Whereas I, like, prefer how Banjo-Kazooie did it in the one case you need to backtrack in a level where you either go to this one level first or that one level first, and they each require one of the other levels' exclusive upgrades for one of the Jiggies. From memory, I want to say 3 does the best out of this main trilogy, though, if only because, if memory serves, there aren't nearly as many levels that are one-offs with monkeys.
Yeah, it's like there's usually at least a couple, like a small handful of monkeys that you have to capture on revisit.
Like, I immediately think, I want to say even, like, the final level in that game, the way it works isn't, like, getting to a certain end point in the level. I think it actually might be catching monkeys and then getting teleported to the final boss.
I think so.
It's been a while since I played 3.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
My memory used to be super pristine with things like that, but now I'm in my mid-20s. And there's too much in this head. I can remember the exact shirt I was wearing when playing certain games on certain car trips, but I can't remember things like that.
And with 3 as well, it's like it actively changed the formula too. Well, not like a little bit. By you could only get most of the extra monkeys if you beat the game, because you get something from beating the game that allows you to actually go after them.
Yes, that especially helped a lot with that. On top of that, I think we've mentioned this before in the LP, 3 had like the password system to unlock even more extra monkeys that added more layers to that.
Yep.
God, I love 3. What is that meant to be in the background, by the way? Like, I know it's like the lethargy laser itself, but it looks like it's trying to be something shape-wise, but I can't quite pick out what it is.
Yeah. Maybe we captured White Monkey when he was building it.
Maybe. Oh, God. Another Robo Jimmy.
Dang.
This room is an active platforming challenge because this Robo Jimmy is actively rotating around and firing a laser out of its mouth, which actively destroys parts of the platform. Just make sure you're a little more patient than I was here. Ah! He's fine.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, like you can see even there, like it actively carves out a chunk of that platform, which visually impressive, but also a little dangerous. But our goal is back here at the Knights of the Round toilets. There are, I think, 5 toilets here with banana plugs in them. We need to destroy them. Some of them just have coins or cookies in them, but one of them, maybe even 2, actively have monkeys. And we're gonna want those for 100%.
And how did those monkeys get in there?
Have you ever seen Final Destination 5?
No, but I'll take your word for it.
That's one of my least favorite deaths in that series that I already don't like. But like a cartoony version of it, I guess.
That Jimmy butt looks terrifying, honestly.
It is, but also I really like how well rendered it is.
Yeah,
like
pretty impressive.
PS2 games up-res surprisingly well, especially if they're some of the better-looking PS2 games, of course. Like, there's the whole thing of like the HD remaster versus porting. Like, some games need the visual overhaul, like I think Final Fantasy X did for that remaster, but honestly, they could just, like, clean up the textures of this and not have to do any remodeling on these characters. It's great.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, man. If they came out with an HD remake of Ape Escape, I'd be so happy.
It is really surprising that we never got a collection of these even on the PS3, considering how many other PlayStation 1 and 2 trilogies did on the PS3 4.
Looking at you, Sly Cooper.
Admittedly, some potential update. We have criticized Sony for some stuff like this throughout this LP. Update on that. This LP has been recorded over a relatively long length of time for behind-the-scenes reasons. since last time, we had the whole thing where the current CEO of PlayStation is stepping down and they're going to be putting an interim guy in charge. So we might actually see stuff more aimed out of like the old Ape Escape and Out of Japan studio stuff. Because Jim Ryan, the guy who was in charge, he was very Eurocentric with what he was producing, hence why Horizon was such a big thing, because that sold extremely well in Europe. On top of like why Siphon Filter got a lot of focus on the PlayStation 5 with the PlayStation classics. So we might see a little more of a return to like PS2, 3 era with what they focus on. Conjecture at this point, of course.
Will we ever get a proper sequel to Sly Cooper?
God, I hope so.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, we gotta save that for that series. It is kind of weird, though, like, just how little the major PS2 series just didn't come back through the PS4 and 5 so far. Like, the only ones that got new entries. Armored Core just got one. Great to see. But Ratchet & Clank got one at the launch of the PS5, but we haven't seen that since, mostly because Insomniac's been busy with Spider-Man and Wolverine. So it's just kind of weird to see how little some of these IPs get attention.
Agreed.
And that, like, it makes it so funny in some regards that, yes, Nintendo has a history of, like, ignoring some of their lesser-selling IPs, but they still give those IPs more respect at times than other studios do, which is kind of a sad realization.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Looking at you, F-099, good to see that series get something, but God, I wish it was a new game. Oh my god, you like magnet platforms enough for your game?
Why did Spectre set this all up specifically?
You know what? I might be able to bullshit an answer for this. The lethargy laser, despite how it targets the human psyche and physiology, runs off magnetic energy, and these magnets moving back and forth is what's generating the power for each individual firing. Did I do it, sci-fi nerds? Did I pull a Star War? I guess it's more of a Star Trek.
I'd believe it.
The problem with levels like this, and we got a little bit into this last time, I think, is they can just go on a little too long to the point where it feels like they should have just split it into 2 levels.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have minded, because I feel with a game like this that's very focused on collecting the monkeys, having shorter bursts of levels that are maybe like 10 minutes long each is probably better than having a marathon 20-30 minute long stage.
Agreed. Agreed. Like, they could have easily just did this, like, the moon base part 1 and have it cut off at, like, a mini boss or something like that.
Yeah, like, think about it. They could structure it like a Dr. Wily castle or a Sigma castle from Mega Man and X, where it's like, here's the map image, here's this first level that has this focus mechanically. Like, this magnet stuff could have been its own individual level.
Oh, yeah. And, like, to be perfectly honest, if we hadn't already captured the Freaky Monkey 5, they could have been used as, like, mini-bosses.
Yeah, and, like, weird comparison, but pull, like, a 0-2 and maybe give them, like, a little mech to control or something to make the fights a little different.
Yeah.
Like, instead of having, like, a little unicycle, motorcycle thing, give Monkey Blue, like, a proper, just, muscle car, like a monster truck or something silly.
Or even, like, Monkey White could have built robot versions of them just in case anything happened to them.
Yeah, and like then you wouldn't need that could be a surprise that didn't count to the monkey count too.
Yeah.
So like you get to like a room near the end of the fortress or at the end of the stage and you just see a capsule that has a letter on it that represents that monkey and then they break open.
Though it would be funny if it's like you destroyed that and it would just be a random monkey inside who was like a huge fan of the original monkey.
And that's how each of the stages ends.
Activision, hire us.
You beat it up, the monkey pops out, and then it just has a comedy beat, and then you capture them. Beware the laser these mechs fire, by the way. There's only a couple of them in the game, but that can take out your Peepotron pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
This level is sort of split, I guess, even thinking about it, into mini levels, and already as it is. Like we brought up, I just mentioned the magnet stuff being one, but the outside of the stage very much feels like a separate stage than the inside of the laser area.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I think the last section could easily have been even its own, like, third level.
It kind of makes you wonder if maybe in development they had the idea of doing separate levels for the final sections, and that's why they feel different. But then they ran out of time or something like that, or decided to just make it all one huge marathon level.
Yeah, and like, there's also potentially like time, budget, or even like disk space. I'll have to look into it, and future me will need to talk about that potentially on screen. But like, maybe the game was getting close to what they were working out on early PS2, like disk space. Because I know early PS2 discs, when they were blue, I think they had lower data limits on top of being more often leading into disk read errors. But with that, we're going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 10, we storm the lethargy laser itself and take on Spectre. See you guys then.
Bye-bye.